In the heart of a vast kingdom, nestled between rolling hills and golden fields, lived a wise man named Kwaku Anane. His reputation stretched beyond the borders of the kingdom, whispered in markets, sung in villages, and even carried by merchants who traveled for weeks. Kwaku was known for one remarkable trait: he never lied. Not once, not even in jest. His reputation was so widespread that even the elderly who sat beneath the great baobab tree spoke of his integrity, telling young children stories of his wisdom and fairness. People sought him out to settle disputes, seeking the wisdom of a man whose words were as firm as the mountains. His honesty was so revered that even travelers would make long detours to seek his counsel. His friend and companion Yopoku often accompanied him, marveling at his ability to navigate conversations without deceit. Yo admired Kwaku, but often wondered if there would ever be a time when truth would fail him. While Kwaku found peace in truth, Yo believed that sometimes a small lie could prevent greater harm. The discussions on the matter were frequent, but Kwaku remained steadfast in his belief that truth was the strongest shield a man could carry. One day, the news of Kwaku's unwavering truthfulness reached the ears of Nana Kwame, the king of the Ashanti kingdom. Nana Kwame was a man both cunning and curious, skeptical that any human could resist the temptation of deception. He ordered his guards, "Bring this man to me. I must see if his claim is true." And so, Kwaku Anane was brought before the royal court. Yapoku followed closely behind, eager to witness the events that would unfold. The palace gates loomed before them, golden and towering, a symbol of the king's immense power. Kwaku walked with steady steps, while Yapoku glanced around, taking in the grandeur of the court. The moment of truth had arrived. The king sat upon his golden throne, scrutinizing Kwaku. His robes, rich in color and woven with the finest silk, shimmered under the flickering torches that lined the grand hall. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing, his fingers tapping against the carved armrest of his throne. "Kwaku," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "is it true that you have never spoken a lie?" "It is true, your majesty." Kwaku answered without hesitation, his voice calm and unwavering. The king smirked, his lips curving slightly in amusement. "And you will never lie, no matter the circumstances?" "I am certain of that," Kwaku replied. The court murmured among themselves. Surely this man would be caught in a lie soon enough. Yopoku, standing nearby, folded his arms, intrigued by what was to come. He had seen Kwaku handle difficult situations before, but this was different. This was a test set by the most powerful man in the land. The king, entertained by the challenge, decided to test Kwaku. He leaned back and let out a deep chuckle. "Be warned," the king said. "Lies are cunning. They slither onto the tongue before one even realizes it." Kwaku simply nodded. Days passed, and the king devised a plan to trap Kwaku in a lie. One morning, before setting out for a hunt, he called Kwaku before a gathered crowd. The courtiers, dressed in their finest garments, watched intently. "Kwaku," he commanded, "go to my summer palace and tell Queen Abena I will dine with her today. Tell her to prepare a great feast. You shall dine with me as well." Kwaku bowed and set off to deliver the message. But as soon as he was gone, the king chuckled, turning to his advisers with amusement. "We will not go hunting today. Let us see how Kwaku explains himself when the queen questions him tomorrow." The court erupted in laughter, convinced that Kwaku had finally been caught in an unavoidable lie. Yopoku, watching from the side, began to worry. He had always trusted Kwaku's wisdom, but this was a trick far more cunning than any he had encountered before. When Kwaku arrived at the summer palace, Queen Abena greeted him with a warm smile. The summer palace, though smaller than the royal palace, was still grand, with tall columns and courtyards filled with exotic flowers. Servants bustled about, attending to their daily tasks. "Kwaku, what news do you bring from the king?" she asked, setting down an ornate goblet and stepping forward. Kwaku replied thoughtfully, his tone measured. "Your Majesty, perhaps you should prepare a grand feast for lunch, or perhaps you should not. Perhaps the king will arrive by noon, or perhaps he will not." The queen frowned slightly, her forehead creasing. "Kwaku, is the king coming or not?" Kwaku gave a gentle smile, his eyes steady. "I do not know whether, after I left, he placed his right foot upon the stirrup, or his left foot upon the ground. Puzzled but trusting Kwaku's words, Queen Abena decided to make simple preparations rather than a lavish feast. Yopoku, who had accompanied Kwaku on the journey, raised an eyebrow. He understood the brilliance of Kwaku's response, but still wondered if it would satisfy the king. Meanwhile, the king and his men remained at the royal palace, celebrating what they believed was Kwaku's inevitable failure. Yopoku leaned over to Kwaku. "Are you sure this will work?" he whispered. Kwaku simply smiled, his confidence unwavering. The next day, the king traveled to the summer palace, laughter dancing in his voice as he arrived. "Queen Abena, did Kwaku bring you my message?" he asked, stepping into the great hall. The queen nodded. "Yes, your majesty." "And did he lie to you?" The king's eyes glimmered with anticipation. The queen tilted her head, her expression composed. "No, he only told me what he knew. He said perhaps I should prepare a feast and perhaps not. That perhaps you would come and perhaps you would not." The king's laughter faded. His eyes narrowed. "Then he has deceived you." "No, your majesty," the queen said with a calm grace. "He spoke only what he had seen. He did not know whether you would change your mind after he left. He only reported what was true at the time." The king was silent. He realized that Kwaku had not lied. He had simply spoken the truth in a way that left room for uncertainty. Yospoku smiled in admiration, feeling pride in his friend's unshakable wisdom. The king, though impressed, was not entirely satisfied. He still sought to see Kwaku fail. "Kwaku," he said, "let me ask you one last thing. Can a man truly live without lying? Are there no moments in life where a lie is necessary?" Kwaku looked at the king steadily. "A man may choose to lie, but that does not make it necessary. Truth, your majesty, can be spoken wisely, just as a blade can be used with precision. A lie may offer momentary comfort, but only the truth stands unshaken." The court fell silent. The king, realizing he had been bested, stood and clapped. "Kwaku, you are indeed a rare man. From this day forward, you shall be my chief adviser." And so Kwaku Anane, the man who never lied, earned a place in the king's court, where his wisdom shaped the kingdom for many years to come. Yopoku remained by his side, learning and growing in wisdom alongside his truthful friend. And so, Kwaku Anane's wisdom stood the test of time, proving that truth is not merely about words, it is about integrity, wisdom, and courage. His ability to navigate the king's challenge without deception reminds us of a lesson that is just as relevant today as it was in the past. Truth, when spoken wisely, is more powerful than any lie. In a world where falsehoods can spread faster than ever, where social media is filled with half-truths and manipulations, Kwaku Anane's story challenges us to be people of integrity. Truth is not always easy, but it builds trust, shapes character, and leaves a legacy that cannot be erased. So what do you think? Was Kwaku right to hold on to truth no matter what? Or do you believe there are times when a small lie is necessary? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another legend from Myths and Legends of Africa. Share this video with your friends and family, and let's keep the wisdom of our ancestors alive. Until next time, remember, truth is like the sun. It may be hidden for a while, but it will always shine through. See you in the next story.